Heads up, female leaders, executives, and entrepreneurs. We have just opened enrollment for the Spring Renegade Accelerator. You can head to renegadeaccelerator.com to check out all the information and apply.
I get teased for this, but my favorite quote that I have been saying the last year is, every day that childlike Amber high fives adult Amber, I've won.
I'm Amy Jo Martin. Welcome to the Why Not Now show. You know that thing you've been thinking about doing? Yeah, that one. Why not now? Have you ever actually taken the time to ask yourself, what's stopping me? Let's talk it through. This is your chance to give that idea the attention it deserves and take action. Each episode, I have a chat with a fascinating person, from entrepreneurs to athletes, celebrities, my parents, rocket scientists, and all walks of life. We talk through a critical time when they've asked themselves, why not now? We dissect that day or even that moment, step by step.
Just let go.
Amber Allen is on the show today. She's the founder and CEO of AA Labs. They're up to some really interesting things. She's also a recent graduate from the Renegade Accelerator. She's now in the Renegade Collective, and she is making moves. You will feel her energy in our conversation because it is contagious. Her zest for life is contagious. In this episode, we talk about the metaverse. What is it? So Amber is an expert, a voice of authority in all things Web 3.0, the metaverse. She breaks it down into simple terms, which I really appreciate. Amber has been named internationally one of the 30 most influential people in the metaverse. In our conversation, we dig down what's behind this desire to play in this space. And it's all about play. Amber's a gamer at heart. We do talk a little bit about Super Mario Bros. 3 back in the day. We both were big fans. And her goal every single day is to make sure that childhood Amber high fives adult Amber. How cool is that? This wide-ranging episode covers lessons she's learned as an entrepreneur, her upbringing, a why not now moment that is one of my all-time favorites. She actually decided to move one day while having brunch. You'll just have to hear about it, but she literally got up from the table and started taking action. So she is a quick idea to action woman. She's got a lot going on. I'm grateful to call her a friend. And without further ado, here is Amber Allen. Heads up, female leaders, executives, and entrepreneurs. We've just opened enrollment for the Spring Renegade Accelerator. All of the information is at renegadeaccelerator.com, so you can check it out, watch the videos, see the testimonials, see the results from everyone. We're on a mission to 10x the way you think and execute for maximum measurable results. We have had many Renegade Accelerator grads on this podcast as guests, so you can listen back and hear from them as well. This is really the career love of my life. So the Renegade Accelerator is an intensive, real-time virtual training program, and we provide that foundation for the Renegade mindset that then extends into everything you do. Climbing that corporate ladder, getting on boards, generating more wealth through investing. If you're fundraising, we also focus on that. Really building your personal brand to open up doors and be able to go where you want to go. We also focus on podcasting, partnerships, and publishing. Public speaking is also a big area of the curriculum. And getting on those stages, growing your thought leadership, becoming more of a voice of authority, and getting paid to do so. The curriculum is equal parts education, collaboration, and accountability. Accountability is key. Renegades are all about action, massive intentional action. And of the nearly 200 graduates that we have in this program now, they all say they came for the curriculum, the education, the content, and they stayed for the people. So once you graduate from the Renegade Accelerator, you become a part of the Renegade Collective, where you'll have access to peer circles, to experts, live events, in-person live events, and a network of women who open doors, who are committed to your growth. We are personally investing in one another. We are making introductions. We are hiring each other, sharing that expertise, and it's really created exponential growth for the community. If this piques your interest, head to renegadeaccelerator.com, take a look at everything, apply, and we will circle back with you. At the very least, if you're uncertain, you can sign up to receive our emails, and we'll walk you through a process to help you determine if this is a good fit and if it's a good fit right now. We do have limited seats, and we're excited. We already have an incredible roster who has joined this next cohort, so get that application in and head to renegadeaccelerator.com. Amber Allen, welcome to the Why Not Now show. It's so exciting to have you here in person. I haven't done an in-person interview in pre-COVID.
Oh, I love that. I'm the first. Right
Welcome.
On. Thank you.
I'm so excited to have you here. Let's start where we typically do, because it's in the spirit of Why Not Now. Can you tell me about a time when you had a big decision to make and you had to ask yourself the ultimate question, why not now? We'll dissect that minute, that hour, day, season, and really start to understand how you got from idea to action.
Yeah, Amy Jo, it's funny when you were mentioning this question, I was like, well, good night. I do that every week, every day. Always asking myself that. But I will say there was 2 incremental times in the last 9 years. And one was when I was starting my company. I mean, I'm a corporate kid. I was at Disney, Warner, Riot. I never really thought I'd be an entrepreneur. I liked being an intrapreneur at these big companies. And I said, well, why not try this? So I started in, but honestly, I was 1 foot in. 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And one of my first clients was Google, and it was a big client, and was working on a project with them, and an opportunity came up if I wanted to take over some of their new product launches. And man, come on, they did it right then. They were doing Google Glasses and all these amazing tech, and I am the tech nerd. And I realized if I didn't do it now, I don't know if I'd ever have the courage to do it. So why not now? Because I'd always go back to one of those other companies. But I really wanted to know if I could do it. And I just had this vision of what I wanted to build. Didn't know how I was going to build it, but I had this vision for it.
And oh gosh, so it's funny how your self-awareness is like, I was 1 foot in. You know, you look back. Was there a moment when you took action where you're just like, okay, this is the direction I'm going. I can go left or right.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. You know, I didn't take the final interview. I passed on it because I knew if I kept going down that path, it was just going to get harder and harder to make that decision. And it's interesting because I referenced too, the other time was halfway in, 4 years into the company. My headquarters were in Austin. You know, I'm a Texas girl. And so my headquarters
and
here.
a trailer park girl,
I
too.
am. There's all
Same
kinds of
here.
country in me.
That's like our first conversation ever. We bonded over that.
Yep. Yeah, and you know, but I was living in San Francisco. A lot of my clients are on the coast, video games. It was esports in that world. And I was sitting there having a Bloody Mary on a Sunday morning with one of my girlfriends. And I look at her and I go, you know, I think I'm going to need to move back to Austin. The company's really expanding and I need to be where the heart of it is. And she looks at me, she goes, well, when are you thinking? And I'm him-hawing around going, well, I don't know, when is convenient. And I paused, I looked at the Bloody Mary, which is halfway drank, and I gave it to her. Halfway drunk, halfway drank, either
Doesn't
one.
matter. It doesn't matter.
Oh, that country doesn't get out of you, girl. And I pushed that Bloody Mary over to her, and I said, I think you probably need to finish this one. I think I'm going to do it today. And after our brunch, she helped me. I was subletting a place, loaded up my car, my little art and wine, and did a 32-hour drive. Stopped once for a shower and a 2-hour nap and got back to Austin right then. Because I knew I could talk myself out of it if I just didn't do it right then.
That story, I mean, I absolutely love, I just have this visual of that Bloody Mary. How many people are going to leave half a Bloody Mary on the table and actually go now? Like when you say now, you mean now. Okay, so that, and when I first heard this story, and I know the others too within the renegade community, they kind of did this tilt head and said, no, you, like literally? And one of my questions for you was, have you always been wired this way? Like massive action right now, if you don't take that window of opportunity, that moment. And where does that come from, do you think?
You know, I was actually raised completely opposite.
Okay.
Your daddy was a Baptist preacher. And he would always say, Amber, when in doubt, don't. He'd say, when in doubt, stay. And so for the first 20 years of my life, that was what I would do. If I had a doubt on something or I thought I should change something, I would just stay. Now, you are who you are. Who is in your bones of a person is going to be that, you know, and I'm always a little feisty. But I realized about the age of 20, 21, some things happened in life that I realized if I did continually pause, write my list, I would find ways to talk myself out of something. And there is something about your intuition and your gut, which is backed by experience. I always love when people say, trust your gut and your intuition. And I was like, yeah, but that's also, you have that because you know substance of who you are and why those decisions feel so confident. And yeah, I mean, I moved to California in 2 weeks. I started my company within 3 months of wanting to do that. Like my life has always been in the last 20 years. Just act. Don't be afraid of change.
That's amazing. I think about that phrase, when in doubt, don't. And then starting to experiment with, oh, actually, I can trust this internal compass. Yeah. Years of walking the planet is really where that comes from, right? And you do live your life that way, and I've witnessed it. Tell us a little bit about what you're building now, your company, and kind of where you're headed, because you were the first person to describe Metaverse to me in a way that I understood. I was like, oh, well, thank you. Because I feel like people try and make it intangible or inaccessible. Yeah. And so before we get to Metaverse, can you lay the land of your company?
Sure.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. You know, I think it's interesting. We were teasing about us both being country girls or trailer park girls, but I am a gamer. I'm a gamer girl. And one of the things I loved about gaming was I could live in a small town, but I could put my headset on and go into Halo and play with kids from Germany, play from people all over the world. And video games really made the world small for me in a great way, in a expansive, huge way of having everything at your fingertips. And I love tech that way. And so for me, when I had the opportunity to work at Riot Games and create season 2 and do the first ever, executive produce the first ever arena event, it was so amazing to see 7,860 kids in the Galen Arena and almost 1 million people online. And it was the first time that my parents actually got to see. I wasn't the only kid in a basement playing video games. There was a lot of us. And now it's a huge industry, right? And there's something about changing people's stereotypes and helping them realize that they're not alone and that their community is out there. It may not be in the 100 people that's in their bubble, but there's 5 million out there that are the same. And that's what started this company. I wanted to do this for businesses. I wanted to do this. If I can do it for introverts and get to help and play in that space, I wanted to create a company that utilized technology and simplified it. My why when I started this company was I believe innovators will change the world. And that's what I would do. I got to help bring, my company got to bring HTC Vive to market. We got to work with Discord when they were just starting, Reddit, Magic Leap. And what happened along the way was we started creating and becoming the innovators and building our own products. And I'm so excited by the product that we've built that will actually launch in January. We've had 2 years of product market fit on a product and looking at what is the world's ready for. And it's not these 3D environments, not yet. We still need to create a bridge product, and that's what we've done with AA. AA is a platform that allows 2D and 3D. And I love when we helped and did one for the Kindness Campaign, an amazing charity on helping bullying. And she was able to build an entire curriculum and then put her curriculum on our platform. And there's something about a company that may be 3 people, but build a curriculum that is $500,000 quality. And that's the world we're living in right now. And that's what I'm getting to be a part of, and my amazing team is building out, is a metaverse space that lets, or just call it a digital platform that lets training be fun.
Yeah. It really is wild. So as someone who's had a chance to play within the space that you've created and our work with Dell Technologies and who's a partner of yours, and looking at the different environments that you've created, I can tell you, like working with your team, when they were showing me some of these experiences, my nervous system changed. Like there was one environment where we were at a spa, but we could do a brainstorming session at the spa with, it's no longer like I'm in another Zoom. But then
trying to be showman. You're in a Zoom and having to be a showman. Look over here. Let me do this.
Which takes a brain capacity and brain juice that you're not actually thinking about the topic at hand. And it just makes the experience comes alive. So
and think about that. Your digital platforms, you kill the video. You're staring at a black screen. Well, that's just awkward. So what are you going to do? You're going to go and multitask. You're going to open up other windows. You're going to do that. So your engagement just went less. Come on. We're all little ADD. We all have attention spans, right? It's shorter and shorter. So our products and our platforms of communication need to be exactly what we've already learned in real life. Real life events that are really good have 5 different experiences. They keep my attention and keeps me engaged yet learning.
Yeah.
You got to do that on our platforms.
So, okay. Can you Metaverse? When people say this word, first of all, sometimes people giggle because it's just like, okay, what is this the new thing, right? It's just, you see the eyes rolling. Can you explain how you do, because you do it in such a way, like such a voice of authority and thought leader in this space that doesn't talk over everybody and try to make it sound like, use words that we don't all know. But you bring it to life, you bring it down to earth. Let's talk about, what is the metaverse?
Well, look, I like to say stage 1. It's the next stage of the internet.
Okay.
All right? The metaverse is the next stage of the internet. I love when someone go, is the metaverse going to be something? It's literally like asking, is the internet going to keep evolving? Yes. Right? So then Web3, as people keep saying, is the metaverse. But the versions of metaverse of what we hear from you sitting as a hologram and I've got glasses on my head are something that will be more adaptable, I think, by 2030. Right? So hopefully, right? But it still gets back to the point of what is it that we want the metaverse or Web3 to do? And what we want is we want to be able to visually engage more. It's interesting because NFTs are the biggest one is art right now, right? And people are like, why art? Well, because it's visual. And that's one of the things that's so powerful about Web3 and the metaverse is you literally could stop right now, look around the space that we're sitting in, and capture this entire room visually in 3 seconds. Now, if I said, I'd like you to tell me about everything that you see in this room, that would be 10 minutes. I mean, some people are very descriptive. That may be a 20-minute conversation. Then I said, wait, I'd actually like you to write it down. Now you're talking 3 pages, 4 pages of information. There you go. The paper and writing things down is the newspapers. The descriptions and talking about something is Web 2.0. The visual consumption in a quick amount is Web 3.0.
Interesting. That evolution. See, that helps you click. Like, okay. So this term being generic is, I kind of think sometimes it's misunderstood as it is a one place, or it is someone controls it all. No, right? And no Facebook even Meta. That's convenient and very interesting strategically. But it is a concept of the next evolution of.
Well, sure. I mean, you think of like, okay, Roblox and Fortnite. Love what they're doing. But that is a multiverse, which means that you need to buy their game. You need to be on a platform that their game plays in, which now is on, everything from phone to Xbox to PlayStation to your computer for Fortnite. Then you need to buy the skins. You need to buy the characters, which are very similar to what NFTs are. You buy the skin. Now I can interact in there. I can watch concerts, everything. But it's in a closed environment. I cannot take my character or something that I buy at like Bodega did a thing with Fortnite. I can't take that skin and walk over to my platform, AA Labs platform. It doesn't cross over. And so when it crosses over, then you're playing in a metaverse space.
Okay.
So in let's just take the AA platform, Miro, fantastic whiteboard platform. Love their technology. I'm not going to create a better whiteboard situation. They've done it. It's amazing. I can actually easily pop them into my platform, and I are now in an environment having 3D models, seeing each other's faces, and still working on that whiteboard. Yeah. I didn't have to open up 3 different tabs, 3 different web pages.
I see the difference now, multiverse versus metaverse.
Because the metaverse plays well.
Blends.
When people keep saying, yes.
Nice
when people
in
keep
the sandbox.
Open
right?
There you go.
Okay.
Exactly. A sandbox that plays well. Which is, guess what? What we've been doing in gaming forever.
Yeah.
Best game in the world. You don't have a hardware to do it. You don't get to play.
Right. Okay.
Right?
By the way, what was your favorite Nintendo game?
Oh, Mario Brothers.
Same. Super Mario Brothers 3 ended up being like
definitely. You know why? Because they had the Easter eggs, and you could jump in level 3 over the pipes and cut through the other world.
Get pinged into the next metaverse.
That's what an Easter egg is, right?
Yeah.
Like you're a loyalty member, you figure something out.
You're like, have you tried this trick?
Yes,
oh
exactly.
my gosh, I loved it.
I know, I even did that, Your Princess is in Another Castle. I have that in a neon light in my arcade room. I have an arcade room in my house. And
which is Zelda, right? No, you're talking about Super Mario Bros.
I have Super Mario. I have Pac-Man, Galaga, Police Trainer. I have all of it in an arcade room in my house. But everybody's like, what do you mean your princess is in another castle? And I'm like, don't you remember as kids, every time we conquered a castle, they'd give you that message. And you're like, ooh, yeah, there's another one to conquer.
Yeah.
Just like we do in life.
Yes. Oh, so fun. Flashbacks, major flashbacks. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about, there's been this inflection point, it feels like, with you. And this craving and demand for your ability to speak about these things in a different way. And, you're speaking at all these big companies and explaining things and looking at what the future can hold. It's really whatever we create, what you create. Being acknowledged globally as a thought leader in this space, what has happened for you to be the one? There are a lot of people talking about metaverse right now.
Yeah.
Why are you getting the microphone and opportunities to do this?
For me, I'm just very passionate about it because I think we have the opportunity to change some of the things that we do not like about Web 2.0. I don't like being the product. I don't like not knowing where my data is being used. And there are ways now to actually be able to opt in Web 3.0 and where the world is, what we're trying to build. Could you imagine in a metaverse, in a digital space, being able to actually see how they were using your data? If your data was only being used to nobody liked that video, but they loved this product. Or, hey, how about you actually get to choose your favorite kind of outfit or the favorite thing that you want a brand to build? They know that information ahead of time. Talk about sustainability. Mm-hmm. You don't make these jackets and shirts until everybody buys in on the idea and you get all that in real time. Mm-hmm. And so I believe that this space is very right for it to be more about actions and not talking. Like I'm working on a social good token right now for a social good NFT, and it's more about the charities that you are helping and doing, whether it be with your money, with your actions, and then that's how you get that NFT. Now look, NFTs are a stamp collection right now. They have wallets, but they're not tied to my identity yet. But imagine if my identity signs into my product. I'm Amber Allen, just like you do in any social media. You have a sign and a password. Now imagine that I can jump to different platforms and you click on me, my little circle, which is a face, it's my video. You click on that and my little shelf pops up. And it's the 5 things that I am super passionate about. And one of those for me is charities, and I'm big into helping with like Center for Child Protection and SAFE and battered kids. But instead of it just being, I'm going to make my little Instagram picture be, that color that's because that's what the fad is. It's more of you actually did action items, and that charity gave you an NFT for your work. Mm-hmm. Or you were loyal to a brand, or loyal to give back, loyal to helping, not just talking about the cause. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And now it's a badge. It's a badge of honor. And guess what? When I run into you in our digital space and you have that same one, we're not talkers, we're doers. We're commonality. We're not about materialistic. We're about action.
So fascinating. It's so, talk about infancy, right?
Yeah.
So you've made this comment before and I love it. It's like, we're at the Zelda phase, right? We're not even, a lot
Honey,
of
we're not Halo or Fortnite yet in the world of where we're at with Metaverse.
Yeah, talk about, we're right there, just barely even. Okay, so I'm gonna shift things up a little bit.
Sure.
What's something that you keep learning over and over? A lesson that you just find yourself, gotta learn that one again. Here it pops up again.
Oh, well, if we're talking about lessons I need to learn, it's patience. I think that was this lifetime. I'm just supposed to learn that one. I don't have much of it, but I'm getting a little bit better.
How does that pop up in your life? Like, what's the latest schooling on patience?
It's interesting because it's the one thing I need to learn about more, and it's the one thing I don't look at very often of it. I don't know if that makes sense.
Got blinders on?
Oh, yeah.
Patience blinders.
Yeah, because it's I like to move quick. I like to change if something isn't working, change. I used to hate the word pivot because people kept going, wow, you were 80% of an event company and you really pivoted to tech. And I'm like, no, we had technology. We always had technology. It's just the world accelerated. But there are things that do pivot. Like I was creating 3D worlds. Girl, I was so excited, building in Unity and everything, but the world wasn't ready for it. So we pivoted. And that took a lot of patience because I wanted to create something of where I want the metaverse to go. But just like I said, you got to build a bridge product. And right now you've also got to look at what, I think that's one of the things I have learned, and I can tie it back to patience, is as innovators and tech nerds, we can build the coolest products. And we know they're cool. Mm-hmm. And I think there comes a time we don't even realize that we're talking over people's heads on it. But if we cannot stop and go, okay, if this is at a 10 and I need a product that's a 3, how do I go back and stop making people feel like they're not tech savvy? Mm-hmm. How do I help them if they're willing to learn, which I like to call a friend of mine helped create this, and I agree with Julie, it's generational infinity. Like generations that love to learn and grow are always learning and always growing. Mm-hmm. Let's go build for them, help them learn what it is, and then we'll keep morphing as our technology keeps growing. And that takes a lot of patience.
We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Hi, everyone. If you are digging this podcast, please do us a favor and subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes. It just takes a moment and it means a ton to us.
I imagine too, so much of what you're doing is education right now too. It's patience of catching. It's in your head. You're like, I got it. But we need to bring other people in to engage to continue it. Like with your partner. I mean, you work with huge corporate brands, but you need to match the renegade inside, right? Don't you need a renegade on the inside to do what you're doing?
Yes, 100%. Finding those ambassadors and those people that get it. And there are so many now. I love how one executive at Nintendo said, I had 69 crayons in my crayon box and 52 of them just went out the window when COVID happened. So what's out there that can be adoptable? And I think that's the biggest thing. I need people that look at this as an opportunity. And there are some amazing ones in corporate companies, those entrepreneurs we talked about. Yeah. There's amazing people that look at something and go, all right, we're not going to just create a Band-Aid. We're going to actually use this time to accelerate and reach millions when we had the opportunity to only reach hundreds.
Do you find that within the corporate walls, they usually are sitting in a similar division or business unit, or could they be in, I mean, obviously this is tech, this is a certain discipline, but do you ever find someone that's like a renegade on the inside that ends up then leading you into.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
They are not in one department, and they are not in one position.
I agree.
It's amazing. I have had people that have been in tech. I have had people that have been in sales. I mean, our product is training, engagement, sales, and B2B2C, right? So fan experiences. So, I mean, we've got engineers that think it's amazing. We've got marketing people. No. This is just
you have to
anyone.
Be very open-minded.
Yeah, but it's such an amazing time for all of us, for people in-house and that are innovating and creating, because people are so much more open-minded of tech because they don't want to be left behind.
I love that. I think it's such a dynamic time right now. Obviously, I think of it as the Great Rebellion, not just the Great Resignation. But people are just like, peace out. I don't even have a lifeboat, but this ain't working. And talent's in control of where things go in terms of taking your expertise. And as someone who has a team of progressive-minded, like, once again, renegades, how have you noticed a shift over the last several months in attracting talent, retaining talent, and even your partners, right? The big brands that you work with. Are you noticing any trends? Do you have any thoughts on this great resignation tsunami?
Yeah,
whatever?
I mean, look, I actually just talked and was in an article for Microsoft Work, because the platform and what are out there, just digital platforms in general, can really help with training, engagement, learning each other, icebreakers, right? Like, so many of my people, I've not even got to meet their other coworkers, right? And so I think a couple things have shifted, at least I've seen in my company in particular. I've watched as almost every single employee is so critical to building and taking our product to market and taking our clients' products to market. It's that ownership, right? There's not this hierarchical concept in my company, and there has been in the past, but I feel like it's very much where people are like, oh, have we thought about this in a different department, and they'll be helping us wear another hat in another department. Whereas I've got some colleagues and employees of mine that are straight out of college, but they've changed over the last 2 years 4 different positions. Because when they're coming out of college, they don't know exactly what they want to work on, exactly what they shine in. But if they're willing to go back to that change that we talked about and not let it scare them, I literally have 2 people on my team that are 1 year out of college and 2 years out of college that have already been promoted to manager, and they deserve it.
That's awesome.
But it's because they were willing to try 5 different roles until they found the right one for them. And we as a company were willing to give them those lessons and learnings. And it's not even just out of college. I think it's exactly what you're talking about, that why not now? I think if companies can allow for that and let the box not be so tight and so many lines, think of ways to cross them, ways to innovate, then lets both sides of that table really see the benefits.
And how valuable, if you've been in 5 different positions, you've seen and done a lot, you're that much more valuable to the company too, right? Talk to me a little bit about play, because for those of you listening, Amber likes to play. In everything you do, you bring this spirit of play, this zest for life, and it shows up in your world and everywhere in your life. But yeah, what do you have to say about play?
Well, I get teased for this, but my favorite quote that I have been saying the last year is, every day that childlike Amber high fives adult Amber, I've won. And if went hiking out in Utah and, we were walking around and it became a mudslide and everybody's like trying not to get muddy, and I'm over there splashing in it. And I'm like, do you remember as a kid we wanted to do this and they wouldn't let us? We're camping. Just throw it in the bag.
We're adults. We can do whatever we want now.
Yes. Or I wanted a Bronco. I wanted an old Bronco, and so wasn't traveling as much, and so I started restoring a 1966 Bronco. And I have to tell you, that thing brings me so much joy. But it's also, I'll be driving. I refuse to put a top on it, so I can't drive it right now with being cold. But I'm driving this thing down in Austin, and people are yelling out, "I love your Bronco," and it just makes me so happy to see all these smiles, cool. And it's a form of play even in my car, Yeah,
it just brings a smile and joy, and I love the Bronco too, and the colors are just.
But it is fun. I don't even realize how much of a child I do things sometimes. But it's the other day, I was sending my guy a picture, and I was like, yep, I'm eating a Rice Krispie for breakfast, but I'm drinking coffee, so it's not as sweet.
I why not? Why not, right?
It's like,
yeah. And that shows up in creativity and curiosity. It's going to fuel every aspect of your life, right?
That's a really good point, though, is the more that you are playing and learning. Remember we both said about Super Mario Brothers? And we said, and what was the one thing I said? Remember we were kids and we conquer a castle, and it would say, your princess is in another castle. And what did you think? Okay, we got to conquer another castle.
Here we go.
So through play, we learned principles. And I think that's also the power of when we build and learn, whether it be a digital platform, whether it be an augmented reality. If we can ingrain more of that game and that play in learning, we will remember it so much longer. Because it wasn't like, oh, this is my duty, I have to go do this. No, it's engaging, and all of a sudden you turn around and you're like, wait, I just learned something.
Yeah. Look at the Oregon Trail. Do you remember?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Your oxen has whatever. So-and-so has got the plague.
I was 6 years old, yes.
Yeah, but it absolutely.
But don't you think that play, exactly what you're talking about, is that play and learning is all tied up to me in curiosity. I love Lex Friedman, his podcast, and he had this whole podcast on curiosity, and he made the comment, let us walk along this path of curiosity together, which I loved.
That's cool.
And it's interesting to me because I was telling you about where I have a quote in my wall, and I can't remember exactly where I heard it, but it's like, stop looking under the rock for the gold. Because no matter what, if there's no gold, you're disappointed. Look under the rock just to see what's under the rock. Like, that's true curiosity, right? Because then you're like, oh, well, I didn't know about that.
Right.
And every time you look under there, you're going to learn something in life.
Yeah.
And that's so much more fun than having to always go, I have to find this.
Yeah. And you never know. It might be there might be platinum under there. It might be better than the gold. Like, you just
But
have
you know
to
what
be
the
open.
crazy thing is? It will always be better than the gold. Because it is something that you didn't know.
Yeah. The novelty of just that and the learning.
joy of learning.
Yeah. I love this. It just popped into mind, like, curiosity coexisting. So rather than creative brainstorms, it's like we should have curiosity storms. Okay. So kind of backing up here a minute. As an entrepreneur, we learn in the school of hard knocks, right? Yeah. What are some of your biggest lessons? And you're entering a new big huge phase too with your company, and I'm sure there are some recent ones and then some just foundational ones that you have under your belt.
It's interesting because, as I mentioned before, I was a corporate kid, so my tribe was in the corporate world, my friends were in the corporate world, my mentors were all from the corporate world. And so when I started my company, I didn't know about investors, I didn't know about VCs, had never heard of, and nobody even told me about having a board or a C Corp. I made myself an LLC. And one thing, though, that I was always given great advice about was act bigger. Act bigger, hold yourself accountable as if you were a bigger company. Now, remember, I had worked at Disney and Warner, and so I was used to certain things. So, I had an intranet site within the first year, which is for, some may not know, it's an internal website for just your employees. I had one employee, and I didn't even have an employee until year 2. But there were certain things that I was used to that I would put into motion. And I always, and I still know, I will be a $1 billion business. And so it is extremely expensive, I have learned over the years, to take a small system and have to change it all to a bigger software. And then change it again for a bigger software. So I spend money on things like brand folders, which is what we used at Disney, Widen and brand folders, a digital asset management system. It's not cheap, but it also has let me keep my entire last 8 years of documents and contracts and photos and vendors all in one asset management system. A CRM system. I did Pipedrive. So I'm and I've learned this over the years, what I didn't know before is software. I'm like really strict at not having users if I don't need it, because that stuff adds up.
Yes, it does.
But if I can get a software that lets 2 menial things, admin type stuff, that I can let a software do so that my people can do $100 hour work instead of $20 hour work, why wouldn't I do that?
Smart.
So that was a big one. And I think another big one was cash flow. I lived in, as I mentioned to you, I went from LA to San Francisco and then to Texas. And everybody in San Francisco was talking about revenue, get your revenue up. And, when I was out there, got the company up to 12 million in revenue. And I was like, okay, we're doing great. And then somebody gave me the book, The Goal. And the goal is all about your margins. Mm-hmm. Now, I know there are people out there listening to this just chuckling, but remember, I had never owned a business before. And so I was getting my revenue way up there, but my margins were not as high as they should have been. And so really looking at the business and saying, okay, I'm bootstrapped. I own 100% of the company. I don't have a partner. I have no debt, no angel investment, no finance investment. I was like, you know what? I got to get cash flow. My cash flow is my most important thing. How do you get a line of credit? And so there was just simple things that I implemented along the way that companies have for small businesses that really helped me.
Smart. And do you have a mentor?
Many mentors in many different fields, men and women who have been extremely supportive of me, let me ask dumb questions and still let me come back to the table.
Amazing. I know. It's so encouraging and inspiring to then want to give that back and mentor, right? It just works both ways. So personally, you have kind of started a new whole regime and focus on health and wellness in the last year, would you say?
Yeah.
What sparked that, and what have you learned? Anything, we're at the start of a new year here. A lot of people are thinking about it. But what would you say about this last year of?
Well, first off, how it was just too hard would be the excuse I would give with traveling. Well, then when that was taken away and we weren't traveling as much, then it was, my goodness, I grew up in Longview, Texas. Like, potatoes aren't a carb where I grew up.
Right.
Seriously. Tater tot casserole is the main dish. And I love my southern roots, but I used to put a stick of butter in my stir fry. And so adapting and changing and learning, again, it goes back to realizing one person does not have to know everything, and surrounding myself with information that I could take bites out of. It was always so overwhelming in the middle of running a business, in the middle of scaling a company, in the middle of the mental health that COVID was doing in its own way, right? And all of this other stuff that we all have. No matter who you are, you'll have multiple things hitting at you at once. And for me to also go, now I also need to lose 15 pounds. So what I ended up doing was finding a podcast, funny enough, Andrew Huberman. And he's this neuroscientist that talks about, and he gives me bite size. All right, 20 minutes of sunlight every morning. All right, I can do that. Athletic greens. Freaking love that stuff. Don't remember to take it every day, gonna be honest. But all right, get some veggies in that way. You know what? Kristen, Warrior Woman, she's on a podcast, talks about ice baths. Okay, I can do that. I freaking hate them, but I can do it. It makes the inflammation. I got Hashimoto's. Makes my inflammation go away. Right? So it's, and it was also surrounding myself watching other people. Like my friend Jimmy, who has Super Coffee. He's so in shape and he also runs a company. My friend Noah, same thing. Doing a full-time job and being healthy. And I'm like, well, if they can do it, I can find ways to do it. I may not have my six-pack.
Right.
But surrounding myself with a tribe that also made it. And then I got to do the morning times. Like if I do it in the evenings, I will find every excuse to go get a glass of wine or tequila or whiskey. See? So it's the small additions and changings have really, really helped me to where I'm, smallest I've ever been, but it's not a weight thing. It's a health thing. I can do runs that I used to couldn't. And for me, cool. That has been what it is. The small bite size over the last year.
And your energy, right? I can just feel your energy. I love what you said about info I could take bites out of. I think that's really ironic because that's what you do for other people when it comes to technology and the metaverse and all the things. It's like, I just learned this. I've got this bite. I know the difference between a multiverse and a metaverse now. Got it. Okay, now I'm encouraged to learn more. But it's little and often, you know? It's like, okay, I can grasp that. And then I'll add another thing. But if you overwhelm me, I'm out. Like,
that's exactly it. Isn't that in everything?
Uh-huh. Yep.
If it just feels like this mountain I cannot climb, but there's other mountains I can climb pretty dang well.
Right.
Well, I'm just going to go do those because why would I want to feel bad about myself? I got enough things in my life that can cause that.
Right.
So being able to find ways. And another one, it goes back to that play. Like finding, for me, I learned how to dance this year. And
just going to bring that up. Okay, let's talk about that.
But it was a great way of also like having fun, learning something new, and being able to, learn something new, have fun, and play. And I got to lose some weight on it. I mean, that was awesome.
And so much joy and being able to contribute to a greater cause too. So Amber did Dancing with the Stars here in Austin and not only raised a lot of money for charity here, but also had gosh, you were entertaining and fun.
It was so fun.
So cool. So cool. Okay, couple of rapid fire questions for you.
Okay.
Pirates or ninjas, who is tougher and why?
Ninjas. Because they had to learn a skill and had to learn certain moves. And then they have to watch the body and know where it's coming from and how to tackle it back. It's pretty badass.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. It's good backup. What keeps you up at night?
Not living up to my full potential and not knowing what that may always be. It keeps me up to ever think that I would lose my curiosity. I want to always learn. I am a baby. I want to always be a baby because there is always so much more that I can learn and know.
That's good. That's good. And let's go back. You're sitting in San Francisco. You're at brunch with your friend. You've got your Bloody Mary there. If you could go back and talk to Amber in that moment and say something, anything, what would you say to her?
Don't make it 32 hours. No, I'm serious. Make it 4 days.
Oh,
you only moved from San Francisco to Austin.
What's
possibly
the rush?
At this one time. What's the rush? And I think that goes back to what your question was of the patience. I still could work along the way. I could have seen some more. I forgot how to play at that moment. And I got it later in life, as in the next year, because I burned myself out, which I thought was impossible because I love what I do. But it was that. Is in rushing to not wanting to miss out and wanting to accomplish more. I actually was holding myself back.
Wow. That's big. That's meta. I love it. Thank you so much. I am grateful for your wisdom, for your time, and just your energy. That zest for life is contagious. So thank you.
Yeah, man, this is we get one. We got to make it amazing and have fun with it,
Oh, absolutely. Why not now?
Why not now?
Hey everyone, thanks for listening to the show. Hit me up on social media to let me know what you think. I'm at Amy Jo Martin on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And I want to hear your Why Not Now moments so I can share them on the show. Just send me a note to whynotnow@amyjomartin.com. For show notes and other offers, you can visit amyjomartin.com/whynotnow. And while you're there, don't forget to sign up for my email newsletter for exclusive content and announcements. A big thanks to Rock Salt Music for all of the tunes by the talented John Coggins. And of course, a hat tip to Richard Brewer for editing and producing the show. I'll see you next time. And until then, why not now?